Today, we're exploring a book that has stirred up quite a storm in the world of energy, climate change, and environmental policy. It's called The Truth About Energy, Global Warming, and Climate Change by Jerome R. Corsi. This book is part of the Great Awakening Trilogy, and it promises to expose some of the most controversial and thought-provoking ideas about our planet's future. Now, if you're someone who follows the news or has kids in school, you've probably heard a lot about the urgent need to combat global warming and climate change. But what if I told you that much of what we think we know about energy and the environment is, in Corsi's words, flat out wrong? That's right. Corsi argues that the frantic global movement to eliminate fossil fuels, the very foundation of modern life, is happening at a time when the supply of these resources, especially in the United States, has actually exploded. Corsi takes us on a journey through history, starting with the ideas of French conservative thinker Gustave Le Bon, who wrote about the power of crowds and how they can be whipped into irrational frenzies by bizarre, secular ideas. Le Bon's observations from the late 19th century seem eerily relevant today, as Corsi suggests that the Western world is in the grip of a similar turmoil, driven by the idea that we are our own worst enemy. This self-hatred, he argues, extends to the belief that we are also the enemy of our planet, Earth. Corsi draws a comparison between today's environmental movement and the apocalyptic fervor of religious movements. He believes that secular people are attracted to these movements because they fulfill psychological and spiritual needs, giving them a sense of purpose and casting them as heroes in a story that aims to save the world from climate disaster. It's a compelling narrative, but Corsi urges us to question it. He also introduces us to Julian Simon, an economist who argued that our perception of resource scarcity is a psychological fear not validated by the historical record. Simon was a contrarian who believed that human intellect is the ultimate, infinitely renewable resource, and that our energy resources, including oil, coal, and natural gas, are not finite and exhaustible. Corsi highlights Simon's optimism and his belief that the human capacity to utilize natural resources for our betterment is often underestimated. Corsi doesn't stop there. He delves into the peak oil theory, popularized by M. King Hubbert, which suggests that hydrocarbon fuels are finite and will eventually run out. But Corsi argues that this theory is based on a tautology and has been debunked by the resurgence of the U.S. petroleum industry. He points out that technological advances, like fracking and hydraulic drilling, have made it economically feasible to obtain energy resources that were once largely unexplored. Corsi also explores the concept of geoengineering, which involves bizarre projects like placing mirrors in space or fertilizing the ocean with iron to combat global warming. While these schemes may sound far-fetched, Corsi suggests that they highlight the desperation and lack of understanding surrounding the complexities of Earth's climate system. One of the most controversial aspects of Corsi's book is his critique of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC. He argues that the IPCC's warnings about catastrophic climate change are based on flawed models and a misunderstanding of the natural processes that drive Earth's climate. Corsi believes that the IPCC's focus on CO2 as the sole driver of global warming is misguided and ignores the significant role of natural factors such as solar activity and cosmic rays. Corsi also touches on the political and economic implications of the green movement's agenda. He suggests that the push to decarbonize is not just about saving the planet, but also about reshaping the global economic system. He warns that the policies advocated by proponents of the Green New Deal could have devastating consequences for economic prosperity and individual freedom. In conclusion, Corsi's book is a provocative challenge to the mainstream narrative on energy and climate change. He urges us to question the assumptions that underpin the environmental movement and to consider the possibility that the solutions being proposed may do more harm than good. Whether you agree or disagree with Corsi's views, His book is a must-read for anyone interested in understanding the complex and contentious issues that will shape our planet's future. Thank you for joining me on this episode of BrightLearn. I hope this discussion has sparked your curiosity and encouraged you to think critically about the information we receive about energy and the environment. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends. Until next time, keep learning and stay bright.
Visit brightlearn.ai for more fascinating videos like this one, and naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage and breaking news on critical stories that keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.